Good evening, savages, and welcome to another episode of Savagely Paranormal. Tonight we are delving into the topic of Jinn, and there are many different forms and the interesting theories that we found behind them.
Yeah, what they are, where they came from.
Yeah. There's a lot of conspiracy about Jinn going on right now that they are a type of fae. They're just the Middle Eastern interpretation of the Western ideology of fae.
Yeah, there's some that say that they're very similar. They both can go, they're interdimensional beings.
Yeah.
They can both breed with humans.
They interact regularly with humans.
Yeah, they, They eat, sleep, breed,
Die.
marry, die.
Kind of like the fae. The fae can do all those things.
Yeah.
There are a lot of stories of old Western myths that are like people that have bred with the fae and have like halfling kids and changeling kids, and
Yeah.
it's interesting to see how they kind of interact with each other. Like the fae and Jinn both are able to interact with the humans, but they're also able to go into the between.
Yeah.
Like between the veils.
Yeah. Now with the Jinn, they kind of, I don't want to say they possess, but in a sense they can possess a human. Do fae do that? Can they do that?
With the fae, it's more of having a name.
Yeah. If they have your name, they can make you do whatever they want.
Okay.
If you make deals with them.
Well, yeah. And
They can make you do whatever they want.
Yeah, and you can kind of make deals with the Jinn, too, in a sense. But then there's one of them that they kind of just get in your thoughts and make you think that you came up with this thought to do
Right, but
things.
there are also like different types of fae that can do similar things. So it just kind of like depends on what species of fae that you're talking about. So kind of like it depends. Like
Okay.
kind of like there are different subspecies of Jinn. There are different like subspecies of the fae. I know there are like 11 main types of Jinn, but there are like a lot of different kinds of fae, like way too many to even.
Yeah.
There are like 2 main courts of fae, but then there are like a bunch of like subspecies in that mix too. Just kind of like depends on what kind of fae you're talking about.
Okay. Well, see, I don't know. I don't know enough about fae to know.
Well, I mean, like, they're both classified as, like, the other kind of beings. Like, they're not angels, but they're not demons, but they're not human. So they're, like...
They're more of an elemental type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of your fae correspond with the different elements found in nature, as to do the Jinn.
So kind of sort of all of them are elementals, which is awesome.
They say that the Jinn were formed by smokeless fire.
I don't know about the fae. The fae are just kind of there.
Just poofed and they were there. Okay.
I don't know how they were created. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how they were created, but I assume possibly in a very similar way. I don't know.
I don't know.
Were they created, or did they just exist? Like
certain
kind of
species of fae, such as like gnome and dwarf, are said to be born of the earth.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
Born of the earth.
Gnomes and other things like elves, gnomes.
Elves, dryads, those would be things that you would find in like the woods. They're natural born, usually form tree spirit. Trying to think.
Yeah. They also have like water spirits that are
Undinies, kelpies.
I don't think sirens are a type of fae. Maybe.
Yeah, mermaids.
Kind of, sort of.
They're a type of mermaid.
Kind of, sort of.
Oh, no.
Fae, but not really fae.
Oh, no.
I don't know. Fae's not my area of expertise. That's yours.
Yeah. You're supposed to know all this
I
stuff.
would classify them as a type of fae, but
That's-
they're more elemental than fae. Fae is like
But fae
it's
is
a very
elemental.
like general term for a lot of creatures. So knowing like exactly like just because something is considered fae doesn't mean that they're like fae with like the wings and the mischief.
Yeah.
Just because it's classified as a fae doesn't mean that it's like the general stereotypical
Okay.
fae. There's a lot of things that are classified as fae.
Huh.
A lot of things. It's a very broad umbrella term. Like, you know, like paranormal is a very broad umbrella term. It
Yeah.
covers a lot of things. The term fae covers a lot of things. Like, you know, I have like imps and all that other stuff. So
Yeah.
all considered
Hmm.
fae.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, with the Jinn, like you said, there's 10 different types.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of the same thing. They're all under this umbrella of the
Yeah.
Jinn.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're kind of interesting on the different types that they have.
Yeah.
One of them is,
The palace.
well, the one, it takes the form of animals like dogs and such.
Yeah.
And there was one story about this guy, this was like from eons ago. He had sent his wife out somewhere and he told her to go in the direction of the goat. And he didn't point, he just said go in the direction of the goat. And she left and she never returned. Because supposedly you have to actually point at the animal. Because if you don't point at the animal that you're speaking of, that it's called a hin, I guess, is that particular Jinn, came and took her. Because he took the form of the goat. She followed the goat and poof, she was gone.
Right, and another form is called a murad. It's like a giant,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting that they have. I find it interesting that there are a lot of different things that they have in the Arabic world versus what we have more Western. Like, you know, there are the stories of like the giants here, but then you go towards the Middle East and they have different names for their
Yeah.
stuff, but it's kind of like the same thing. Like, I don't know, it's just interesting.
Yeah, or I don't know if they are or aren't the same thing, but they have the same appearance, do the same kind of things. So
Right. It could just be like the Arabic interpretation of the same kind of creatures, and they just gave it a different name because that's.
You know, if you look at myths, legends surrounding like Fae or even the Jinn, you look in the various cultural separate areas, they all have basically the same entities, all under different names.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just interesting though. Like they
Yeah.
have a Jinn. I think it's the palace that is the one that like licks your feet
and I'll tell you,
and like eats your
I have that one
blood
up there. It
and
is, yeah, it's called the Palace. He is known as the Footlicker.
yeah, it like licks your feet and like drinks your blood and eats you slowly. That's
Yeah.
kind of weird.
He attacks the feet of sleeping people and drains the blood from their bodies by licking the soles of their feet. Ugh. No, thank you. Don't really want to see one of those. I'm good.
Yeah.
No.
Gives you a reason not to wash your feet.
Gives you a
Well,
reason
I don't
to
think
always
it
wear
cares if it-
socks and keep your
right?
feet
I'm
covered.
going to sleep with shoes on. Like big, thick work boots.
I'm gonna at least sleep with socks on and keep my feet covered. We don't know.
Right?
No.
Yeah. No, thank you. Then there is the what's the other one? This one, I don't know. This one just sounds like it's called a ghoul.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It sounds like so many different boogeyman stories.
Right.
He feeds on the blood and flesh of humans, especially travelers or children's or corpses that are stolen out of graves.
Typical ghoul for the English-speaking countries is a person or entity that was once living, given into cannibalistic urges. It hungers for fresh flesh, but will consume cadavers in order to get its sustenance.
Okay.
So then again, we have another very similar type thing.
Yeah.
So like the Jinn are not quite angels, but they're not demons, but they're not humans. They just kind of like hover.
Yeah, but then going to the demon thing, supposedly they're all under the rule of Solomon.
Solomon's magic has a lot of different entity types that they deal with. So it's not all like...
Not demons, but it's all they fall under that category of black magic or whatever you want. Whatever terminology you want to use for it, it's...
Yeah.
The
I mean, it's not all
stuff.
like demons necessarily that they deal with. It depends on the cultural reference. Because a lot of the entities that they deal with are like entities that Christian religion would call demons, but other religions, that's like their gods, goddesses, and other so-called entities that they deal with. So it's kind of a... Like, is it a fallen angel? Maybe. Is it a demon?
Maybe.
Maybe. It depends on the area that you're in.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of things. Like, Christianity has demonized a lot of things, so it just kind of...
Anything that does not fall under the Christian flag of God and his angels is demonic.
If not demonic, it's going against the commandments and is considered a sin. Yeah.
Still heresy.
Yeah. Ooh, then we have the Jan, which is a kind of Jinn that is a shapeshifter.
Oh yeah, those are the ones that can take on like different shapes and peoples and stuff.
They can appear as a whirlwind, like a sandstorm type thing.
Yeah, like a dust cloud.
A white camel. Kind of neat.
They've also been said that they were like some of the first Jinn that came in contact with humanity.
Yes.
And so some of the stories say that they're not quite as malicious as other types of Jinn.
They're more open-minded about humans, and their enemy is the ghoul.
Yeah.
So, being able to transform into like a whirlwind or like the white camel, the whirlwind aspect would make them be more or less akin to an air elemental.
Yes.
Yeah. There is a Jinn, I can't think of its name,
I will tell you.
that can hide or reveal oases.
That's that one.
That's that one. Okay. So like that's a big deal when you're in the desert. Like
Well, that's, they're not completely against humans, so they may help you.
Or they might not, depending on how much you piss them off.
Right?
Language.
That's not a swear word.
It's not it's a swear word, but not that big of a swear word.
Then we have the one that you were talking about, the giant. It's called the Merid. It is supposedly the most powerful Jinn with the greatest powers. They have free will, but they could be compelled to perform chores.
Yeah.
That would be your basic earth elemental.
Yeah.
If you bribe them enough, they will do the deeds, the tasks for you. It's like with any Fae type creature, if you bribe them enough, they'll do things for you.
Now, this one reminds me of a dragon. Yeah. It's called the Ifrit.
Ifrit.
It
Fire
is-
elemental.
Yes, it is powerful and cunning. They are also known as enormous winged creatures of fire. They live underground.
If that doesn't scream dragon, I don't know what does.
Right?
They can also look very demonic and not so much like a dragon.
Well,
They generally marry other jinns, but they can marry a human, and humans can use magic to enslave them or even kill them.
interesting.
Yeah. They're described as ruthless, wicked creatures.
Very interesting. So, what's our next type?
That one is Sheik.
Chic.
Sheik.
A weaker kind of jinn that looks like a monster half-formed creature. It means split, and it is evident why it is called so, because I can try to show you this picture because it looks kind of weird.
Where's his neck?
Producer, can we see if they can see this? Can we see if they can see this?
What?
Can you
pull
pull us
up the
up
screen, please?
So we can see if they can see the picture.
Well, send me the link.
Where do I send it?
Send it to my Gmail.
So, these ones are an interesting species of things. They're like kind of like halflings, but not really halflings.
Hang on, I gotta send this to him, and my thing just is going in slow motion.
Yeah. So, these ones, they like, I don't know. The creatures look interesting. They're
It's
kind
the
of
one with the big head and little body.
They got a big head and a little butt. Sorry.
Fat man in a little coat.
Right. Yeah. No. So these ones are kind of interesting. They're like half and half. They're kind of almost remind me of like a PK manifestation, but not really. I don't know.
I
Kind of
don't know
sort of.
why. They don't really do much of anything.
This thing looks like its head is its torso.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a I don't-
Like a bug on steroids.
down to chic. SHIQQ.
It reminds me of like a bug
That one.
on steroids.
Right there.
I don't know. Like it's just weird looking.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of looks like I don't even know. It looks like it looks like it has like pinchers for hands and just kind of dopey.
Yeah, it is kind of dopey looking. It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's very odd. Like, I got a big head and little arms.
Yeah, like a T-Rex.
The arms are actually proportionate to the body. Looking at this picture.
Yeah.
So I
So
have
they're
a
not-
little head and big arms. Like, it's the exact opposite.
But as I said before, it looks like the head is the actual torso.
Yeah, they're just kind of weird looking. They don't do much according to sources.
No. The next one is a Nas. It's another weaker type of jinn, usually known as the offspring of sheiks and humans. Okay.
Oh.
So they are the hybrids of human-like and animal-like forms.
So people are breeding with those
Yes.
weird little critter
big head
things.
things.
I got a big head and really big arms. Yes, like
I
that's
don't-
just
they
weird.
kind of look like a Pablo Picasso drawing.
Described as a half-human being with half a head, one arm, and one leg that hops on its single leg.
I'm sorry, I really
That
shouldn't
is
laugh, but
so weird. That is what in the
yeah,
I don't know. That looks like something Pablo Picasso got
yeah,
high and drew.
yeah.
That's just weird.
Yeah. So then the next one, the footlicker, we already did him. Then we have a Sealat, the smartest shapeshifters creature that can mimic human appearance, very easily. They're also part of Persian folklore and are also described as the misinterpretation of a Mongolian warrior. Now, this one looks creepy. I don't think I'd want to meet this one in a dark room.
No.
So,
No.
to the basic counterpart of this in like the Western civilizations, that would be a doppelganger.
Yeah.
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 It's just weird looking though. Like that's creepy. It's know that
Yeah.
these are things that could take the shape of you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm good. No.
Yeah. So then we have the Shaitan is the devil and the mischievous jinn as confirmed by Islam through Hadith and the Quran. He only has power to cast evil suggestions in the mind of human beings, which is where I was saying that they just like project their thoughts into your brain to make you think that you came up with this idea.
So kind of demonic, kind of a demon, not really a demon.
Yeah. Iblis is a type of shaitan, which is well known because he refused to bow to Prophet Adam.
Now, it's interesting to note that, like, in the Quran, there is an entire chapter on the jinn. And then there's another book. It's called Hadith. That's the one I was looking for.
Right there.
It is, like, an entire series of, like, Muhammad's interactions with the jinn.
Yeah.
And for like an entire religious group to like recognize that these things exist and or give directions on like how to deal with them.
Yeah.
And like I've seen a lot of videos floating around online of guys in the desert searching through like old abandoned buildings and stuff, and like you'll just see these weird black masses like run and like throw things, and then they start screaming in Arabic and like praying, and I don't know, I find that like interesting that they're all labeled as like jinn type stuff, and I'm like that's an interesting, it's almost like a shadow figure, but not really a shadow figure in a lot of those.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird.
The one thing that kind of strikes me about the jinn is again, I'm not too familiar with them, but from everything I've seen, you have to be a true believer in Allah in order to be able to banish them. And they can't, like, if you physically close a door after getting them out and you say whatever you need to say in Allah's name and close the door, they cannot open that door.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Compared to, like, our religious beliefs were, like, well, a lot of, like, Western religious beliefs, like, demons just come and go. Like, you can't really just, like, in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to stay out and close the door and expect them
to say, oh, okay.
Like, sometimes that might work, depending on the demonic entity and how strong they might be, that might work. But, like, that doesn't work on Fae. Like, they're gonna... Like, Fae have no, like, religious type, like, things that you can do to get rid of them. Yeah. Like, they're just there.
Yeah. Well,
they're just there.
They're not really a religious kind of thing. Where, I mean, the jinn aren't fully, but they kind of are, because everything that I have ever seen about jinn, they're all related to, like, there's a lot of stories about, like, the Prophet Muhammad coming in contact with them and, like, the different and they all seem
types
to respond to Allah.
Yeah. So, is it, like, a lesser form of a demon? Or is it kind of fae? Or is it like a hybrid of the two?
I don't know.
It
Which
could
I think
just
is-
be a spirit.
That is
Good.
very true.
Good.
And they're not only like over in that area. I have seen multiple videos, multiple stories over here from the States.
Yeah.
People encountering them and trying to get rid of them, and
Not being able to get rid of them because they don't pray to the right kind of gods.
you
which is
can't
weird.
simply wave around some sage and open your windows and go through the whole
Right.
to do and expect them to just leave, because that's not their.
Right. It's interesting that they have traveled from the Arabic world into the Western world, and the Western world is now being kind of sort of plagued by them, but not really like plagued by them.
Well, I wonder if it's because of all
The traveling.
all the traveling, all the people who are moving from there to here, here to there, coming with their family artifacts, or they could come with anything or anyone,
Right.
basically.
Right. But like, I don't know. Not a lot of things that I've read about the Jinn have stated that they like attach themselves to objects, but I guess it's possible that they attach themselves to people, obviously.
Yeah,
So it's possible that they've come over
yeah,
just piggybacked with people.
yeah. And there was one article I was reading, and I don't know if I believe it or not, but it kind of falls along the lines of like a spirit guide or whatever else you want to call them. But there was one of the people in the Quran that said everybody has a jinn on their shoulder. Kind of like you know, talking
The
in your
little
ear, the
angel.
yes/no type thing.
A little angel and devil.
So, I mean, could it be something like that where everybody has one of those 10 types that is with them from birth? So as people disperse throughout the world, they go, and since we know some of them can interbreed,
It's possible.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But then you start to wonder, okay, so the ones that were there that are now here and possibly interbred with whatever, can they interbreed with other spirits, other demons, because they can with humans, so who knows. But then, okay, can we still use somebody who believes in Allah to get rid of them? Or now that they have intermingled,
Is it a dual kind of exorcism that needs
do we need
to
a shaman? And I don't know what they're called for.
Well, it's not a rabbi. It's a...
Not sure.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold, please. No, keep talking.
So do we need a priest and somebody who believes in Allah? Or do we need a shaman and somebody who believes in Allah? Or do we need all three? Or do we need what?
It's a imam?
Imam.
Is that what that is?
Imam.
Imam?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely an interesting thought. Like,
It's an Islamic holy man.
Yes.
yes. So, like, if we have, you know, say, like, this Jinn interbred with, like, I don't know, like a Dybbuk or...
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
But, I mean...
Meet your worst nightmare.
Right, but like if they interbred with like a demonic entity and then interbred with like a Dybbuk, like would you need one for all three religious groups to get rid
Right.
of it, or could just one religious group by their prayers to
Right.
their specific god
Get rid of it.
get rid of it?
Or is that even possible? I don't know.
I would figure that any of the holy men from whatever religion, if it is a conglomeration of them, it would only take one.
Yeah. It would only take the one with their denomination. Yeah. So you just kind of whittle away at it until it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a conglomeration of, say, you know, one from Islam bred with one from Christianity, in that aspect of it, you would only need a priest from either religion. because that entity may be both.
But it still has halves of each.
So you can seal it, banish it, whatever, with one holy man without needing the other, because it's not going to split that entity in half.
But, I mean, will it just weaken it enough so that you can banish it for good? Or is it going to weaken it enough and then piss it off enough that you need somebody else to come in?
I don't know.
Which is some case with some demonic entities, you can weaken them enough to, like, banish them from a house for a time, but then they come back. So it just kind of, like, depends.
Really piss them off to make it worse.
Or that. The Jinn are according to everything that I have read so far, the Jinn are only able to be, like, I don't want to say exorcised because I don't think that's the right word.
Basically.
Like, banished by somebody that is a true believer of Allah and follows that religious
That's everything
path.
I read.
So, like, who's to say that if it did intermingle with, like, somebody from our side of, like, Christianity, Druidism, whatever.
Yeah.
Who's to say that it can be banished by somebody? Like, I don't know. It's just interesting.
It's all speculation at
But
this
who's
point.
to say that they, like, intermingle with people of other faiths and not just people from Islam?
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
It's interesting.
And, I mean, that may not even be something that would happen, but it's fun to think about.
It's interesting. Definitely to think about that there could be people running around that are, like, half Jinn, half peoples.
It explains a lot, though.
It could. It's like the Fae intermingling with people. Like, there are some people that you just wonder about.
Like those people that when you're talking to them, their faces change.
Yeah.
And you're like,
What are you?
Exactly.
What kind of something do we have there?
Yeah, there's more than just you there. What is it?
What is it? We must know.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yes, we would.
Yes, that kind of makes our day. Yeah, that one's stupid.
There are a lot of, like, I think there are a lot of similarities between Jinn and the Fae.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also a lot of, like, major differences. Like, you know, Jinn can supposedly only be banished by, like, somebody of that faith that is, like, a true believer. Fae, not so much. Like, once you have the Fae, they just are there. Like, you can't really banish them. Like, there are things that you can do to take, like, precautions into them, like, messing with you and your home. But, like, I don't know. You just really can't, like, banish them. Like,
Yeah.
I've not ever seen anything that says there's, like, a banishment ritual that you can perform
I don't know.
to get rid of the Fae. I don't really mess with the Fae. The Fae are a creature that is not my favorite.
There's a guy in Oregon that I'm going to see if he'll come on one of our podcasts. He has a lot of experience with the Jinn.
Oh.
And I think that would be really fun. I've watched some of his videos he's posted. I think it'd be really fun to actually hear his side of it since he's actually had experiences with them.
Right.
But I have to tell this part because this one kind of made you go, huh? When you're reading it. Because there is also, it's in the same holy book that there's the Kareen, which is an evil, the what?
It's,
Kareen.
Yeah, that would be Korean, I think.
It's an evil spirit. Technically, they say a Jinn is considered demonic, but I don't know. But this other one, they're unique to each individual. They would be the ones that a magician would summon after somebody's death. So when they go in trying to get guess, like, after you die and they want to call you back or whatever they would do, the magician. I have no clue. I've never been a part of that.
So, like, their version of, like, it sounds like their version of, like, a magician is, like, a spiritualist where they, like...
They call it a seance.
They're kind of doing, like, a seance.
Yeah. The Kareen would remain on Earth and would, conforming to his malevolent nature, impersonate the deceased whose character he's familiar with. So when you read that and then you compare that to the Jinn, which they are claiming is demonic, wouldn't this one sound a little more demonic than a Jinn?
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Jinn aren't really, like, in my knowledge wheelhouse. Like, that's not really something that I've done a whole lot of research on. But I know a lot about a lot of things. So, like, you know, like, pinpointing specifics. And, like, there is that story of the Jinn where that lady was in the bathhouse and they had another lady come, like, she said that there was another person in the bathhouse with her that had hoofs, and then
she comes out to the attendant and the attendant lifts up their skirt and says, "Oh, like these?" Oh,
that's just weird.
Yeah, no.
Like,
nope. Mm-mm.
So, like, now there are people running around with, like, goat feet? Like,
I don't know. One of the Jinns...
That's just weird.
One of the 10 types of Jinns, I forget which one it was right now, but it was said to have, like, hooves and animal
legs. But that
legs,
almost sounds like the Native Americans version is, like, the deer woman.
Mm-hmm.
But she's, like, a protector for, like, women and children. Or even... I want to say, I don't know if the dryads have hooves or not.
That's not a dryad. That would be a satyr.
Satyrs are like half people,
half goat.
Half goat things.
Okay.
From Greek mythology.
Yeah. So, like, that makes you wonder if, you know, is that a type of fae? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it just all kind of sort of screams fae at me, like different weird versions of fae. Although I don't really know any off the top of my head cannibalistic fae, but that doesn't mean that they don't exist.
Honestly, I have no idea. And when I first got pulled into this rabbit hole of the Jinn, fae never once crossed my mind.
You said Jinn, I was like, ooh, I wonder if that's a fae.
Yeah. Like, never even crossed my mind. When I think of fae,
you think of, like, the little, like, Tinkerbell fairy things?
That or pointy teeth and...
Like bone fairy? Yeah.
Yeah. This does not scream fae to me, but I don't know.
Right. There's a lot of interesting correlations between the two, and that doesn't mean that, like, the Jinn aren't some kind of subspecies of the fae that we don't have, that we have but don't often encounter on this side of
I don't know
the things like, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting correlations between the two, though.
Mm-hmm. There is. There's a lot that would kind of make you go, I wonder if they could be.
Right. And a lot of those are like, I don't know. Some of the fae types scream like PK manifestation, like it can move things and do the things, and not all of them fly.
Yeah.
Some of them, you know, shapeshift into animals and whatnot, and some of them are more humanoid and can travel here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That screams... That's a lot of different kind of creatures.
That screams, I have no freaking idea.
Right. But, like, poltergeists, they can move things. They can do a lot of that stuff. They can, shapeshift. They can,
Yeah.
depending.
But, I mean, in reality, so can any other spirit.
Demons can shapeshift and do a
Yeah.
lot of that stuff. So,
I mean, Grandma Sue can show up as anything she wants to show up as, technically.
technically, yes.
So, I don't know. But I think we're out of time for today, guys.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Anything else you want to hear a podcast on, drop it below.
Don't forget to share us with your friends.
Bye.
Bye, guys.